The false peace mission. The stars painted silver streaks across the black canvas of space as the UES Prometheus glided silently toward the shimmering world below. Zephyria Prime hung like a crystal ornament against the cosmic void, its surface gleaming with an ethereal blue-white light that pulsed gently, as if the planet itself was breathing. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge, her weathered hands clasped behind her back as she gazed at the alien world through the reinforced viewport. At 52, Elena had spent 30 years in Earth's diplomatic corps negotiating treaties and building bridges between nations. Her graying hair was pulled back in a practical bun, and her dark eyes held the wisdom of someone who had seen both the best and worst of humanity. "Beautiful, isn't it?" she murmured to her second-in-command, Lieutenant Commander Sarah Kim, who stood beside her reviewing data on a tablet. "Incredible," Sarah agreed, looking up from her readings. "The energy, signatures are unlike anything we've recorded. The entire planet seems to resonate at specific frequencies." Elena nodded. This was humanity's first contact with an alien civilization, and she felt the weight of history on her shoulders. Earth had chosen her to lead this mission because of her reputation for peaceful negotiation. The message was clear. Humanity came in peace, seeking friendship and knowledge, not conquest. The communication console chimed softly. Communications Officer James Park turned from his station. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface. It's coming through on harmonic frequencies, just like the briefing suggested." "Put it through, James." The bridge filled with a sound unlike anything Elena had ever heard. It wasn't quite music, but it wasn't mere noise either. The tones seemed to flow like liquid light, creating patterns that somehow conveyed meaning directly to the mind. Gradually, the sounds transformed into words, though the melodic quality remained. "Welcome, beings of Earth." The voice sang with crystalline clarity. "I am Krista 7, chosen speaker for the crystal harmony of Zephyria Prime. We have watched your approach with great joy. It has been countless cycles since new voices joined the cosmic song." Elena stepped forward, gesturing for James to open their communication channel. "Greetings, Krista 7. I am Captain Elena Rodriguez of the United Earth ship Prometheus. We come as representatives of humanity, seeking friendship and peaceful exchange between our peoples." The harmonic response carried what could only be described as laughter, though it sounded like wind chimes dancing in a gentle breeze. "Your words carry the resonance of truth, Elena Rodriguez. We invite you to descend to our crystal cities, where the great harmony can welcome you properly. Prepare your hearts for wonder." As the communication ended, Elena felt a surge of excitement. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. Earth's first contact would be a triumph of diplomacy over conflict. She was making history. "Set course for the landing coordinates," she ordered, "and prepare the diplomatic shuttle. We'll take a small team down for the initial meeting." "Captain," Sarah said quietly, "I should mention that several sections of the ship remain restricted to diplomatic personnel only. Admiral Harrison's orders were very specific about security protocols." Elena frowned. Admiral Harrison commanded Earth's Deep Space Defense Force, but this was supposed to be a diplomatic mission. Why would military protocols supersede diplomatic ones on her own ship? "Which sections?" she asked. "Decks 7 through 9 and the primary cargo bay. The restriction orders came directly from Earth Command just before we departed." Something cold settled in Elena's stomach. "I want to review those orders personally." "I'm afraid they're classified above diplomatic clearance, Captain." Elena stared at her second-in-command. In 30 years of service, she had never encountered a situation where diplomatic personnel were denied access to parts of their own mission. "Sarah, this is my ship and my mission. I need to understand what we're carrying." Before Sarah could respond, the bridge door slid open, and Chief Engineer Marcus Chen hurried in. Marcus was a thin, nervous man in his early 40s, with calloused hands and worry lines around his eyes. He had worked on every major Earth vessel for the past decade, and Elena trusted his expertise completely. "Captain," Marcus said, slightly out of breath, "I need to speak with you privately. It's about the ship modifications." Elena studied his face. Marcus looked genuinely concerned, which was unusual for the normally steady engineer. My ready room, now. They walked in silence to Elena's private quarters adjacent to the bridge. The room was spartanly furnished with a desk, 2 chairs, and a small viewport showing the approaching planet. Once the door sealed behind them, Marcus immediately activated a white noise generator from his toolkit. "Captain, I've been running diagnostics on the new systems we had installed before departure," he began without preamble. "What they told us were diplomatic communication arrays and cultural exchange equipment aren't what they claimed." Elena sat down heavily. "Explain." Marcus pulled out a portable display and began showing her technical schematics. "This equipment isn't designed for communication. It's designed for disruption. Specifically, it targets harmonic frequencies and can generate destructive interference patterns." "Destructive how?" "According to these specs, if activated against crystalline structures resonating at specific frequencies, it could cause catastrophic molecular breakdown, complete structural collapse." Elena stared at the schematics, her mind racing. The Zephyrians were crystalline beings living in crystal cities, communicating through harmonic frequencies. The equipment Marcus was describing would be the perfect weapon against them. "There's more," Marcus continued grimly. "The power requirements for this equipment are enormous. That's why they installed the new fusion cores, and there are deployment mechanisms hidden throughout the restricted sections. This isn't diplomatic equipment, Captain. It's a weapon system." Elena felt the world spinning around her. "Are you certain?" "I've triple-checked everything. Captain, whoever planned this mission equipped us for war, not peace." Before Elena could respond, her communicator chirped. It was James from the bridge. "Captain, we're receiving another transmission from Krista 7. Elena forced her voice to remain steady. "Put it through to my ready room." The harmonic voice filled the small space, carrying warmth and genuine excitement. "Elena Rodriguez, we have prepared a great celebration for your arrival. Our finest crystal gardens await your visit, and our master harmonists will perform the Symphony of First Meeting. We are honored to be the first to welcome humanity into the greater community of thinking beings." Elena closed her eyes, feeling sick. The Zephyrians were planning a celebration, trusting completely in human peaceful intentions, while her ship carried weapons specifically designed to destroy them. "Thank you, Krista 7, she managed. "We look forward to meeting you." After the communication ended, Elena and Marcus sat in silence for several minutes. Finally, Elena spoke. "Marcus, I need you to do something for me. I need you to find out exactly who authorized these modifications and when. I also need to know who else on this crew is aware of the real nature of our equipment." "What are you thinking, Captain?" Elena stood and walked to the viewport, staring down at the beautiful, trusting world below. "I'm thinking that either I've been lied to by my own government, or there's been a terrible mistake. Either way, I need to know the truth before we make contact." Over the next few hours, Marcus worked quietly while Elena reviewed all her mission briefings. Nothing in her orders mentioned weapons or military objectives. Every document emphasized peaceful contact, cultural exchange, and diplomatic relations. Yet the evidence of Marcus's discoveries was undeniable. As evening approached, Marcus returned to Elena's quarters with a grim expression. "I found what you asked for," he said, again activating the white noise generator. "The modifications were authorized by Admiral Harrison personally, 3 days before departure. And Captain, most of the crew you thought were diplomatic specialists are actually military personnel with new identification." Elena felt the blood drain from her face. "How many?" "At least 60% of the crew. They've been briefed on a completely different mission than you have." Elena sank into her chair. She had been played. The entire diplomatic mission was a facade, and she was the unwitting face of what appeared to be a planned attack on a peaceful alien civilization. "There's something else," Marcus continued. "I intercepted a coded transmission from Earth Command. The order will come tomorrow for activation of the harmonic disruptor. They call it Operation Frequency Strike." Elena stared at him in horror. "They're going to use me as bait. Let me make peaceful contact. gain their trust, then attack while their defenses are down. It looks that way. Elena stood and paced the small room. In less than 24 hours, humanity would either make its greatest diplomatic achievement or commit its most heinous act of genocide. The choice wasn't in the hands of the military commanders or government officials back on Earth. It was in her hands, right here, right now. She thought about Krista Seven's warm welcome, the planned celebration, the trust in the harmonic voice. She thought about her 30 years of building peace instead of waging war. She thought about what humanity would become if this mission succeeded as the military apparently intended. "Marcus," she said finally, "I need to know which crew members I can trust. Real diplomatic personnel, engineers, scientists, people who signed up for peace, not war." Marcus nodded grimly. "I've been keeping a list. There are about 30 of us who weren't part of the deception." Elena made her decision. She activated her personal communicator, but instead of contacting the bridge, she opened a direct channel to the planet's surface. "Krista 7, this is Elena Rodriguez. I need to speak with you privately. What I have to tell you may save your people's lives." The choice between worlds, the harmonic response from Krista 7 came immediately, but the melodic tones carried a subtle shift that Elena was beginning to recognize as concern. "Elena Rodriguez, your voice carries frequencies of distress. We will listen with full attention." Elena took a deep breath, knowing that her next words would change everything. "Krista 7, my ship carries weapons designed specifically to destroy crystalline structures. My government has deceived me. This is not the peaceful mission I was told it was." The silence that followed stretched for several long minutes. When Krista 7 finally responded, the harmonics were complex and layered, carrying emotions Elena couldn't fully interpret. "We know," came the simple reply. Elena stared at the communicator in shock. "You know? Elena Rodriguez, we have observed your people for many of your years. We have watched your wars, your conflicts, your struggles between those who build and those who destroy. When your ship approached, our deep sensors revealed its true nature immediately. Then why did you welcome us? Why didn't you defend yourselves?" The response carried what Elena could only describe as infinite sadness mixed with hope. "Because we also sensed something else aboard your vessel. We sensed you, Elena Rodriguez. We sensed the 37 souls who truly came in peace, who believed in the mission they were told they served. We chose to trust in the better nature of humanity, represented by those like you." Elena felt tears streaming down her face. "They're planning to activate the weapons tomorrow. I don't know if I can stop them." "Child of Earth," Krista 7's voice carried the weight of ancient wisdom. "You must understand something. We are not defenseless. Our civilization has mastered harmonics in ways your people cannot yet comprehend. We could silence your weapons with a thought, turn your ship's metal to dust with a single coordinated song. But we choose not to. We choose to trust that humanity will make the right choice when the moment comes." Before Elena could respond, her quarters door chimed. Marcus entered quickly, his face pale. "Captain Admiral Harrison's shuttle just docked. He's on his way up here with a full security detail." Elena's blood ran cold. Admiral Harrison wasn't supposed to be anywhere near this mission. His presence could only mean that the military was taking direct control. "Krista 7, Elena said, urgently into the communicator. "Can you hear what's happening?" "We hear all, child. Be strong. Your moment of choice approaches." The door to Elena's quarters slid open without announcement. Admiral Harrison strode in, followed by 6 armed Marines in full combat gear. Harrison was a tall, imposing man in his 60s, with steel gray hair and cold blue eyes that seemed to catalog everything as either an asset or a threat. "Captain Rodriguez," he said without preamble, "you are relieved of command. You've been monitored communicating with the alien entities in violation of operational security." Elena stood to face him. "Admiral, this is supposed to be a diplomatic mission. I was maintaining communications with our hosts as part of standard protocol." Harrison smiled coldly. "Captain, there never was a diplomatic mission. You were selected because your reputation for peaceful negotiation would make the aliens trust us completely. The real mission is to test our new harmonic disruptor technology against a live target. These are peaceful beings, Admiral. They've done nothing to threaten Earth. They exist, Captain. They possess technology far beyond ours. In military terms, that makes them a threat that must be neutralized before they can use that advantage against us. Elena felt a cold rage building in her chest. You used me. You used the entire concept of peaceful contact as a weapon. I used the most effective tool available for the mission requirements. Your moral objections are noted but irrelevant. Harrison gestured to his Marines. Escort the captain to secure quarters. She's to have no further contact with ship's systems or external communications. As the Marines moved toward her, Elena made a desperate decision. She lunged for her communicator, still open to Krista 7. It's happening now, she shouted. They're taking control. One of the Marines grabbed her arm, but not before Krista 7's response filled the room with harmonics so pure and powerful that everyone froze. Admiral Harrison of Earth, the crystalline voice sang with notes that seemed to resonate in their very bones. We have heard your words. We know your intentions. We offer you a choice. Harrison recovered first, motioning for his men to continue restraining Elena. I don't negotiate with alien threats. We are not threatening you, Admiral. We are offering you something much more valuable than the destruction you plan. We offer you evolution. The room filled with a gentle, warm light that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. Suddenly, they were no longer in Elena's quarters, but standing in what appeared to be a vast crystal cathedral. Towering spires of living crystal surrounded them, each one singing in perfect harmony with the others. The beauty was overwhelming. Krista 7 stood before them, and Elena gasped at the sight. The being was humanoid but composed entirely of living crystal that shifted and flowed like water made solid. Light danced through its translucent form, creating patterns of incredible complexity and beauty. This is impossible, Harrison muttered, though his voice carried less certainty than before. And, no, Admiral, this is choice. Krista 7 gestured, and the space around them shifted to show images of Earth. Your people stand at a crossroads. You can choose the path of conquest, of taking what you want through force, or you can choose the path of harmony, of growing through cooperation and mutual understanding. The images changed, showing possible futures. In one, Elena saw vast fleets of Earth warships spreading across the galaxy, destroying and conquering. In the other, she saw human and alien civilizations working together, sharing knowledge and creating wonders beyond imagination. Your harmonic disruptor technology, Krista 7 continued, is crude and destructive. But the principles behind it, if applied with wisdom instead of malice, could allow your people to join the greater harmony that connects all thinking beings across the galaxy. Harrison shook his head. Pretty words, but humanity survives through strength, not trust. Admiral, Elena said, look around you. If they wanted to destroy us, we'd already be dead. They're offering us something better than survival. They're offering us a future. Marcus stepped forward from where he had been standing in stunned silence. Admiral, I've analyzed their technology during this demonstration. The power requirements for what they're doing should be impossible, but they're doing it with minimal energy expenditure. Their efficiency is thousands of times better than anything we've developed. It could be an illusion, Harrison said, but his voice lacked conviction. Krista 7's form pulsed with gentle light. Admiral Harrison, we will prove our sincerity. Your ship's weapons are now completely inactive. Your fusion cores have been safely shut down. Your vessel is floating powerless in space, yet you still breathe. Your life support continues. We could have killed you all in seconds, but instead we preserve your lives while preventing your attack. Harrison grabbed his communicator, but it produced only static. His face went pale as he realized the truth of Krista 7's words. Why? He asked. Why preserve us if you know we came to destroy you? Because, Elena said, understanding flooding through her. They're showing us that there's another way. A better way. Krista 7 nodded, its crystalline features somehow conveying, warmth and compassion. Elena Rodriguez speaks truly. We preserve you because we believe in your potential for growth. Humanity has great capacity for both creation and destruction. We hope to nurture the creation. The crystal cathedral faded, and they found themselves back in Elena's quarters. But something had changed. The harsh artificial lighting had been replaced by a warm, natural glow that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. Your ship's systems have been enhanced, Krista 7 explained through the communicator. Not damaged, but improved. Your energy efficiency has increased tenfold. Your life support systems will now function for centuries without maintenance. These are gifts freely given to demonstrate what cooperation can achieve. Harrison stared at readings on his personal scanner, his expression shifting from anger to confusion to something that might have been wonder. This is impossible. These improvements should require complete reconstruction of our primary systems. Nothing is impossible when civilizations work together, Krista 7 replied. Admiral, you have a choice to make. You can return to Earth and report that the mission failed, that the aliens were too powerful to defeat. Or you can return and report that humanity has found something better than victory. You can report that humanity has found hope. Elena watched Harrison's face as he struggled with the decision. Everything he had trained for, everything he believed about survival and strength, was being challenged. What guarantees do we have? He asked finally. How do we know you won't turn these gifts into weapons against us? You have the same guarantee we have from you, Krista 7 replied. Trust. The choice to believe that cooperation creates more than conflict destroys. Elena stepped forward. Admiral, let me return to Earth as a true ambassador. Let me tell them what I've seen. Let humanity choose its own path forward. Harrison looked at her for a long moment, then at his Marines, then at the readings on his scanner showing the impossible improvements to their ship. Stand down, he told his Marines. Then to Elena. Captain, you're restored to command, but I'm staying aboard to observe. Earth Command will want a full report from both of us. Elena felt a surge of hope. Krista 7, would your people be willing to send an ambassador to Earth to speak directly to our leaders? The harmonic response carried joy and excitement. Elena Rodriguez, we would be honored, but we ask one thing in return. What? That you remain here as our first human ambassador. Learn our ways as we learn yours. Become the bridge between our peoples. Elena looked around the room, at Marcus beaming with excitement, at Admiral Harrison still staring at his scanner in amazement, at the Marines who had lowered their weapons and were looking around in wonder at the warm light surrounding them. Accept, she said. 6 months later, Elena stood in the Great Crystal Assembly Hall, watching as human and Zephyrian scientists worked together on projects that would have been impossible for either species alone. Through the transparent walls, she could see human shuttles moving peacefully alongside Zephyrian crystal ships, their designs beginning to merge as the two civilizations learned from each other. Her personal communicator chimed with a message from Earth. Admiral Harrison had successfully convinced Earth Command that cooperation was more valuable than conquest. 3 more diplomatic vessels were en route, this time carrying real diplomats, scientists, and engineers eager to learn. Krista 7 approached, its crystalline form now familiar and comforting to Elena. You have chosen well, Elena Rodriguez. Your people have chosen well. Elena smiled, watching human children play with young Zephyrians in the gardens below, their laughter creating harmonies that seemed to make the crystal spires sing. No, she said. We chose together, and that's made all the difference. The story of humanity's first contact became the story of humanity's first step toward something greater than itself. It wasn't a story of conquest or domination, but of growth, understanding, and the courage to choose trust over fear. In the end, humanity didn't just survive contact with alien life, it evolved, and the galaxy became a richer, more harmonious place for all thinking beings who called it home.